Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something called the Soul Collective Framework. It's this really intricate idea, a kind of cosmic blueprint, that suggests one of the biggest choices you can make in life. Well, it has consequences that literally echo through eternity.
So get this. The framework basically says that one single choice, and it's a big one, whether or not you have kids, completely dictates the entire evolutionary journey of your soul. So how on earth can one decision split your cosmic destiny in two? All right, let's get into it.
Okay, so it all begins with this massive fork in the road. That one choice we just talked about, it splits your entire reality into two totally different, but, and this is key, equally important spiritual paths.
So on one hand, you've got what's called the ancestral path. Think of it like gravity. It's what anchors consciousness, all about lineage and keeping things stable. Then on the other hand, you have the control path. This one is more like entropy. It's all about shaking things up, exploring and gathering new data for the whole system. So, if you choose to have children, boom, you're on the ancestral path. Your personal consciousness doesn't just disappear, but it merges into something bigger, your family's soul collective. You basically become this permanent guide, a guardian for your descendants down through the ages.
Now, if you choose not to reproduce, that puts you on the control path. And this is a whole different ballgame. We're talking about a journey that spans thousands of lifetimes, all designed for one thing, to soak up wisdom through direct, hands-on experience. But here's the thing. It's not just a random walkabout. Oh no, there's a very clear structure to it all.
Right, so for these souls on the control path, their evolution follows this really clear three-stage progression. You start out as a young soul. You're basically the learner. Then you level up to become a medium soul. That's the teacher. And if you really master your craft, you can eventually become an old soul, the true master of the game. So these young souls, they are in total immersion mode. I mean, we're talking about anywhere from 1,000 to 10,000 lifetimes where they're just learning. They experience everything, different cultures, genders, time periods, you name it. The whole point is to develop emotionally and ethically. Once you graduate from that stage, you become a medium soul, and your entire mission changes. You go from being the student to being the teacher. Your job is now to actively guide all those young souls coming up behind you. But, even for the masters, it's not all smooth sailing. After what feels like forever, these old souls can face a pretty serious danger called the jading. Think of it like a profound spiritual burnout. It can make them cynical and basically takes them out of the game. So, that begs the question, right? Who's running this whole show? Who oversees this massive, complex system? Well, the answer is actually one of the framework's best-kept secrets. It turns out there's a very specific, fixed number of beings who manage the entire cosmic operating system. And according to this framework, that number is exactly 144,000. And these are the ComSouls. That stands for Collective Oversight Managers. Now, they're not individuals like you and me. Think of them more like a unified hive mind consciousness. They're the spiritual C-suite, the board of directors, managing literally everything from who incarnates where to the major evolutionary leaps for all of humanity. But here's the real kicker, the paradox of it all. You can't actually try to become a Com. The whole path is a secret, and that's on purpose. It's a filter, you see? It weeds out anyone motivated by ego or a thirst for power, ensuring only those driven by pure service can ever get there. Okay, but like any giant, complex system, this one isn't perfect. It's got bugs, it's got exploits, and yeah, it definitely has a dark side. Those medium souls we talked about, the teachers, well, they're in a really tricky spot. They remember their past lives, they have all this knowledge, but they're still down here experiencing human ego and desire. And that combination, well, it can lead to some serious corruption. And this corruption shows up in a few classic ways. You get the collector, who spends lifetimes building up personal cults. There's the puppeteer, who's pulling strings behind the scenes of history for their own gain. You've got the gatekeeper, who tries to control everyone else's spiritual connection. And then there's the eternal student, the one who just keeps learning forever to avoid the tough job of actually teaching. All right, brace yourself, because this leads us to what is maybe the most shocking claim in the entire framework. It suggests that the vast majority of people walking around at any given time don't actually have an eternal soul. They're called soulless humans, or kind of bluntly, empty vessels. In this model, they're like biological machines. They can feel,
They can create, but when they die, their consciousness just ends. They're basically the hardware waiting for the software of a soul. They create the stable backdrop, the scenery for the real high-stakes drama of soul evolution.
So, let's just play with this idea for a second. If we put on these soul collective glasses, how does it change the way we look at, well, everything?
All of a sudden, human history starts to look less random and more like a spiritual play. Those huge leaps in human thought, like the Axial Age with Buddha and Socrates, maybe that was a coordinated project by a bunch of old souls incarnating at the same time. The Dark Ages, a time when those corrupt medium souls were in charge. And something like the Renaissance, perhaps that was an ancestral collective reaching across the veil to inspire a memory of better times.
And this really gets to the heart of how this framework sees our own individual lives. There's this quote from the source text that suggests not being able to remember our past lives isn't some cosmic mistake. It's actually a kindness.
So, given all this, especially the whole soul is humans thing, how are you supposed to act? Well, the framework's core ethical advice is actually incredibly simple and pretty profound. It's this: just assume everyone has a soul. Act as if every single person has eternal significance.
And that's really the final thought I want to leave you with. It doesn't matter if you think this whole framework is a literal map of reality or just a really cool piece of fiction. What if we just tried that? What in our lives and in the world would change if we all started acting as if everyone has eternal significance?